Many of us view the 90s with nostalgia, remembering a time when Friends was the hit show on TV, Beanie Babies were all the rage, and the Macarena dance was still cool. For North Korea, however, it was perhaps the worst decade in its country's history. The 90s started with North Korea losing a huge source of income due to the downfall of the Soviet Union, who at the time was one of North Korea's largest trading partners and also provided the country with billions in free aid. On top of that, the country also suffered the worst famine in its history, causing millions of North Koreans to starve to death, completely shutting down its already fragile economic system. The cherry on top of all this was the death of their paramount leader and founder of the country, Kim Il-sung, in 1994, which added even more instability and chaos to the North Korean regime. Because of these factors, many people both in and outside of North Korea expected the country to significantly change during this period, either in the style of China, which was going through major reforms in their economic system, or in the style of the Soviet Union, which saw a total collapse in its regime. Yet 30 years later, everyone was clearly wrong, and throughout that nightmare of a decade, North Korea remained more or less the same, with the Kim family still in power, their economic system still extremely inefficient, and their nuclear program still in operation. Facts that remain true to this day. This left many people understandably confused. How was North Korea, with its starving population, lack of foreign aid, and grossly inefficient economy, able to withstand the same pressures that forced other communist countries to change? How was it that at the same time state propaganda was introducing intermittent fasting to their people through their Eat 2 Meals a Day campaign, the country was simultaneously able to afford to build private palaces for their great leader and keep the North Korean elites that prop him up satisfied with luxury cars, Rolexes, and vacations for their children? Well, look no further than the secret North Korean organization that illegally brings in billions of dollars to the country, known as Office 39. The department so crucial to the survival of North Korea that the Kim family personally controls its operations to this day. This is the story of how Office 39 went from being a small team of ragtag officials smuggling cigarettes to controlling a criminal empire manufacturing crystal meth, which would make even Walter White jealous. Office 39 was believed to be named after the room number where Kim Jong-il created the organization in 1974. Having defaulted on its international loans at the time, North Korea lost access to foreign currency and needed to figure out a way to get it. Loans be damned. So Office 39 originally started as a way to earn this needed money for the Kim regime. One of the first ways they did this was by exploiting a loophole known as the diplomatic bag. Despite being probably the least normal country in the world, North Korea is still a country, and because they're a country, they can take advantage of certain privileges provided to nations, such as the fact that bags belonging to diplomats are not allowed to be searched, an international rule adopted from the Vienna Convention in 1961. Now, I'll be honest, it's hard to blame the United Nations for not being able to foresee that a country would end up using this rule as a loophole to sell meth. However, by the 90s, North Korea went through their aforementioned worst decade ever and needed some real cash real quick. And so the items Office 39 profited from got more and more crazy, going from cigarettes and other normal things like agricultural goods, gold, and minerals, to bizarre but still morally reasonable things like fake cosmetics and counterfeit Viagra pills, to the downright insane, like drugs, weapons, slavery, super dollars, and cybercrime. We'll start with drugs.
Who is it you think you see? Do you know how much I make a year? I mean, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am the danger.
North Korea's illegal drug trade dates back to the 70s, when they were smuggling hash, opium, and heroin through their diplomats using the loophole mentioned earlier. Most of these drugs at the time were produced outside of North Korea, with the diplomats essentially acting as middlemen, transporting the drugs to various destinations for buyers, relying on their diplomatic immunity and the protected diplomatic bags they would use to smuggle them with. Now, the North Korean government claimed that officials who were caught smuggling were just acting on their own and not part of wider state policy, but it was pretty obvious to most countries that this was a straight-up lie, with instances of diplomats who were caught simply found to be reshuffled to other countries rather than actually being punished. Eventually, the North Koreans started to realize, wait, why are we just the middlemen here? There's no government to stop us from making drugs. We are the government. And so they decided to make crystal meth, since the ingredients are not only pretty cheap, but also don't require a harvested plant like opium, hash, or heroin. Now, what do you get when you construct state-of-the-art meth labs, bring in experienced drug producers from cartels, and provide official protection by the government? Meth that is produced in such high quality that it would make Walter White wish he just stuck with being a high school teacher. With the North Koreans now being the producers, they no longer needed to use diplomats to smuggle tiny amounts of drugs to make a bit of cash. At the volume they were producing at, they were now able to work with criminal organizations like the Japanese Yakuza and Chinese triad gangs who would be their middlemen instead. This new strategy resulted in North Korea earning billions more to pay for their leaders' palaces, cars, and champagne. Meth production had gotten so prevalent in the country that excess supplies started to be sold to their own citizens, who called it pingdu, or ice drug, with many of them taking it for special celebrations, or sadly, as substitutes for medication that they can't afford. There have even been reports of meth being gifted between North Koreans for New Year's celebrations just a few years ago. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and let me know what topics you want to see next. This is only my third video, and I would really appreciate your support to be able to make videos for you full time. If you're able to help me not be homeless this month as I'm making videos like this, please consider supporting me on Patreon, linked in the description, or through my YouTube channel membership, and you'll also get some cool benefits like early videos, shoutouts, an exclusive chat room with me, and more. Thanks! Weapons are a similar story, with North Koreans starting off small by smuggling them through their diplomats, but expanding their operations over the years with large-scale shipments of arms, missiles, and weapon technology to countries like Russia, Iran, Syria, Eritrea, and even organizations like Hezbollah and Hamas. You can think of North Korea as a modern-day merchant of death, selling weapons to anyone willing to buy them, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars to the Kim regime every year. Now, with forced labor, it's important to note that many other countries also have this form of slavery about to be discussed. What I'm talking about, of course, is the practice of sending people to foreign countries to work to death under inhumane conditions for extremely low wages, which is common for many countries like India, the Philippines, Nepal, and others. The key difference, however, would be that while those countries turn a blind eye to it, the North Korean government is itself the one that willingly organizes this human trafficking. Hundreds of thousands of North Koreans have been known to work in more than 40 different countries around the world, bringing in billions of dollars every year, while the workers themselves get to keep almost none of it. Superdollar is the name given for the highest quality counterfeits found usually in the form of US $100 bills. Just like the quality of their meth, the North Koreans are one of the few who can create fake dollar bills at a high enough quality to earn the label Superdollar. North Korea's counterfeiting of American currency was believed to be started in the 70s, with pretty simple ideas like bringing in $1 bills, bleaching the ink out, and then using the now blank bills to print them into $100 notes. These counterfeits at the time weren't high quality yet, but by the 90s, the North Koreans had developed much more sophisticated ways of producing these fake bills, which ended up being called superdollars. They imported the high-tech printers from Japan, used the exact blend of cotton and linen from Hong Kong, bought the right ink from France, and sourced the necessary obedient workers from, well, North Korea. Their counterfeiting got so good that by 1996, the United States government decided to redesign their money for the first time since 1928 and obtained the exclusive right to use specially designed green to black color shifting ink for their new bills in order to stop them from being copied. North Korea, whose currency gets counterfeited by exactly 0 people in the world and is worthless to begin with, for some reason also decided to purchase the rights to this color shifting ink. But they couldn't buy the exclusive green to black ink that the Americans now have, so they decided on green to magenta, which just so happened to be the best choice if you wanted to copy the Americans, since magenta was the closest color on the spectrum to black that was available. By the time the United States updated the bill yet again in 2013, North Korea was, in the literal sense of the word, making tens of millions of dollars every year. Cybercrime has been the most recent development from Office 39's operations, with children who show promising math capabilities plucked out and trained from a young age to become North Korea's next generation of hackers. Unlike other countries who primarily use their computer geniuses to spy on enemies and extract intelligence, North Korea's top focus for their tech team is earning money for the regime, with hackers often given individual quotas they must meet, usually around $100,000 each year. These cyber warriors are often sent to places like China or Russia, where they work non-stop to generate money in any way possible in order to meet their quota, using various methods like implanting ransomware into computers, hacking into banks, procuring data from large corporations, stealing cryptocurrency, and most recently, taking your remote job. Yes, you heard that right. Just recently, the United States government reported various techniques used by North Koreans to deceive American businesses into hiring them, such as creating fake LinkedIn profiles and websites, forging documents, and even paying Americans to use their internet as a way to prove to companies that they are indeed in the US. Decades of training in computer technology, crippling sanctions, their expensive nuclear program, and the explosion of remote work as a result of COVID created the perfect storm for North Korea to secretly steal thousands of tech jobs every year, raking in billions for the country. And so, the answer to the question that confused analysts and defied predictions for years is the secret department known as Office 39. Created in the 70s, expanded in the 90s, bringing in billions of dollars to the Kim regime, which allowed Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong-Un to maintain a luxurious lifestyle and fund their nuclear program, while also keeping North Korean elites satisfied with the status quo. Without Office 39, North Korea would not be able to exist in its current state, either reforming itself like China or entirely collapsing like the Soviet Union. This is the secret to North Korea's continued survival to this day, and so long as Office 39 remains operational, North Korea will continue to exist despite sanctions, a miserable population, its expensive nuclear program, an inefficient economy, lack of foreign support, and well, every other issue it has. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching my third video, and please give this a like if you enjoyed to support small channels like myself. Comment below a suggestion on what topic I should cover next. I've had the pleasure of reading and responding to thousands of you in my previous 2 videos, and will be doing the same for this one. If you're able to help me not be homeless as I continue to create videos, please consider supporting me on Patreon linked in the description, or through my YouTube channel membership, and you'll also get some cool benefits as well. Thank you so much if you're able to support me, and a special thank you to my amazing supporters I currently have.